The right way to use spiritual perception and knowledge. Question. When I have conversations, I can tell that what a person says is different from what they truly feel. In business situations, if I respond to their heart, they might feel uncomfortable. But if I respond to their words, I feel like a fool. Yesterday, I chose the latter. Was that the right decision? Answer. When dealing with people, some individuals can perceive others' true thoughts, either because they have received divine power or because they have developed their intelligence and knowledge to a high degree. By studying the laws of nature and enhancing one's abilities, one can reach a level where they can see not only the words someone speaks, but also the deeper thoughts behind them. Such people can sense a person's energy, intentions, and even the reasons behind their actions. Others, however, gain this ability through divine intervention, which allows them to perceive things but does not necessarily give them the means to handle what they see. The problem arises when someone with this ability misuses it. There is a tendency to reveal what is perceived, a phenomenon called telepathic perception, tasimtong. This can vary in intensity, but in essence, it involves reading another person's thoughts. In some cases, people inherit this ability through their ancestors, while others develop it through knowledge and observation. The key to using this ability correctly. The proper way to handle this knowledge is to use it for personal growth, rather than directly revealing what one sees. Even if you perceive someone's thoughts, they inherently understand their own thoughts better than you do. For example, if you visit a fortune teller and they accurately describe your past, you may be amazed. However, no matter how precisely they describe it, you, having lived through it, will always understand your own experiences in a deeper and more detailed way than they do. If you lack knowledge, you may be drawn in by such revelations and start depending on them, making yourself vulnerable to manipulation. This is why in society today, there are people who get caught up in these energies and end up being drained. Those who lack intellectual strength can be easily influenced and lose their own energy in the process. There are two types of telepathic perception. One that comes from knowledge and can be controlled and understood. 2, one that comes from divine intervention, which requires divine power to manage. For those who gain this ability through divine influence, it is given only temporarily as a tool for learning. They must eventually study and develop themselves to truly understand and control it. This is similar to using a temporary solution, like a talisman, to solve a problem. It can provide relief for a time, but unless one learns the deeper lessons and grows, the problem will return. People often seek out temporary solutions rather than true understanding. They keep returning for more talismans or quick fixes instead of developing their own knowledge. If they do this multiple times, eventually, a problem will arise that no talisman can fix. This is why society needs educated individuals to guide people toward proper understanding. How to use telepathic perception correctly. Perceiving someone's thoughts is not about telling them what you see. It's about using that knowledge to interact with them in a beneficial way. If you simply tell them what you perceive, you are no different from a fortune teller, and such influence is temporary and fades over time. If you have this ability, many people will be drawn to you. This is not for you to exploit them, but to provide you with learning opportunities. If you focus only on using your ability without studying, you will lose the energy that was given to you. True wisdom is gained by being humble and learning from others. When people come to you, approach them with humility. The more humble you are, the more they will return, and over time, they will begin to support and help you. If you act superior, they will only come to you when they need help and then leave. Many people, when they first gain such abilities, misuse them by placing themselves above others. But this ability is given for a reason. It is meant to be used for learning and guiding people correctly. If you dedicate yourself to studying for 3 years with sincerity, you will reach a level where you can understand the world and people more clearly. The evolution of spiritual abilities do not last forever. They are given in stages. 1. First stage. The ability is strong, and you can perceive things clearly. 2. Second stage. The ability weakens, things become less clear. 3. Third stage. The ability fades almost completely. These stages occur because they are meant to guide you toward true understanding. If, during this period, you have studied and grown, you will not need divine assistance anymore. You will be able to perceive and guide others through your own wisdom. Many people misunderstand this process. When they receive abilities, they think their purpose is to use them for healing or divination, rather than learning. True learning happens through humility and human interaction, not through displaying supernatural talents. If you receive these abilities and encounter a monk, they will guide you in a spiritual path. If you meet a shaman, they will guide you in a shamanic path. If you meet a pastor, they will lead you in a religious path. The direction you take depends on who you learn from during this critical period. Conclusion: knowing something does not mean you should always reveal it. Seeing the world and using knowledge must be done wisely. When you have insight, you must apply it in a way that truly helps others, rather than just displaying it. True wisdom transforms knowledge into power, and this power is sustained when used correctly. Temporary solutions, like fortune-telling or talismans, may seem effective, but they are not lasting. True power lies in following the laws of truth. If you understand these principles and live by them, you will find that everything you seek will naturally come to you. When you receive special abilities, take it as a sign that it is time for you to study, observe, understand, and grow. Do not speak about everything you see. Wait until people ask. When they do, guide them based on knowledge and wisdom. This approach is far more powerful and long-lasting than any temporary skill or supernatural ability. The right way to use spiritual perception and knowledge. 1. Understanding spiritual perception. Some people can sense others' true thoughts and feelings beyond their words. This ability can come from two sources. 1. Through knowledge, gained by studying and understanding human nature. 2. Through divine power, given temporarily by spiritual forces. While both allow you to perceive others' emotions and intentions, how you handle this ability determines its true value. 2. The problem of misusing this ability. 1. Many people misuse their ability by directly telling others what they perceive. 2. This is called telepathic perception, ta sim tong, and can make people dependent rather than helping them grow. 3. If you rely only on supernatural insight without studying, you may eventually lose your ability and be left without wisdom. 3. The correct way to use spiritual perception. 1. Do not reveal everything you see. 1. Just because you perceive something doesn't mean you should say it. 2. Use the knowledge to guide and influence people positively. 2. Help them naturally, rather than telling them what they already know about themselves. 3. Remain humble. 3. The more humble you are, the more people will trust and return to you. 4. Use your abilities as a tool for learning. 4. If people come to you, take it as a chance to learn from them as well. 4. Spiritual abilities are temporary. Spiritual abilities often fade over time in stages. 1. Full strength. You clearly perceive things. 2. Weaker perception. Insight becomes less sharp. 3. Fading away. The ability is gone, leaving only what you have learned. If you use this time wisely to study and develop yourself, you will not need supernatural powers to understand people. You will naturally gain wisdom. 5. The danger of seeking temporary solutions. 1. Some people rely on quick fixes like fortune-telling or talismans instead of true learning. 2. This creates dependency, and eventually, the problem becomes too big to solve with temporary solutions. 3. True power lies in understanding and applying the laws of truth, not in relying on supernatural tricks. 6. The key to long-lasting strength. 1. Knowledge and wisdom are more powerful than temporary supernatural abilities. 2. Wait for the right moment to share insights. 2. Let people ask instead of forcing knowledge onto them. 3. Your real strength comes from continuous learning, humility, and helping others in a meaningful way. Conclusion. Having spiritual perception is not about proving your abilities. It is about using them wisely to help others and grow yourself. True power lies in understanding, patience, and humility, not in showing off supernatural insight. If you use your abilities correctly, they will transform into lasting wisdom that benefits both you and those around you. Matta story Hidden Vision. Early in the morning, Yunti woke up. The dim sky outside the window was preparing for the sunrise. He slowly got up and looked in the mirror. His eyes were an ordinary shade of brown, but within them lay an unseen world. Since childhood, Yunte had been different. He could read the emotions hidden behind people's expressions and hear the unspoken truths in their words. At first, he found this ability fascinating and would joke about it with his friends. But as time passed, he gradually chose silence. The more he knew the truth, the more he realized that it was himself who got hurt the most. As usual, he headed to his cafe, a small shop called Sumgyol, breath, that he had been running for 5 years. This place was his sanctuary. While brewing coffee, his mind wasn't occupied with the emotions or thoughts of others. Only the warm aroma and the soft foam filled his senses. That afternoon, a stranger walked into the cafe, a woman in a black coat. She quietly took a seat and gazed at the menu. Yuntae glanced at her face. Her expression was calm, but he could see it, the deep anxiety hidden within her heart. "1 Americano, please," she said. "Sure, I'll have it ready in a moment." As he brewed the coffee, he stole another glance at her. Her hands trembled slightly. Though her gaze was directed at the window, unease was etched into her face. He wanted to look deeper, but he stopped himself. He had promised never to repeat his past mistakes. When he placed the coffee in front of her, she stared at the cup for a moment before speaking. "This place is quiet and nice." "Thank you. Do you come here often?" "This is my first time, but strangely it feels familiar," she said with a meaningful smile. Yuntae's heart suddenly dropped. He took a quiet breath. She wasn't just any customer. She knew something. "Excuse me," she continued. "Can you read people's minds?" The cafe fell into a deep silence. Yuntae met her gaze. A long dormant sensation began to awaken inside him. "I'm not sure what you mean." "Don't lie. You can see my thoughts, can't you? Or perhaps my past?" Her eyes sharpened. "I've experienced something similar. That's why I came to find you." Yuntae studied her once more. The energy surrounding her wasn't unfamiliar. In fact, it felt eerily familiar, like a forgotten memory surfacing after years in the dark. "Would you like to tell me your story?" he asked quietly. She let out a deep sigh before speaking. "My name is Soo-hyun. I once had the same ability as you. But because I looked too deeply, I lost everything. The people I loved, even myself." Yuntae listened in silence. Her story was too similar to his own. He too had tried to reveal people's hearts and tell them the truth, only to watch them leave him. He had learned the hard way that truth didn't always bring happiness. "Then why did you come to find me?" he asked. Soo-hyun lifted her head and looked into his eyes. "You still have a choice. Before you lose everything like I did, you need to learn how to use your ability properly. Do you think learning will change anything? What you see isn't always the truth, and telling the truth isn't always the right answer. What matters is how you use it." Yuntae mulled over her words. Until now, he had considered his ability a curse. But perhaps there was another way to use it. He looked at her and asked, "Then, what should I do?" Soo-hyun smiled. "Starting tomorrow, how about we study together?" At that moment, something shifted inside Yuntae. For the first time, he decided not to run from his ability but to face it. And for the first time, he wondered, perhaps this wasn't a curse but a blessing in disguise.